All right, fifth graders, it's time for math. You need your math book and your pencil ready to go. Ready, pause, go. Okay, so we're going to do 2 lessons in one today because the first one is super easy and you really don't need to just spend one whole day on it. So you may be super ahead in language. We're not super ahead in math, so we are going to keep going with math. Awesome. Okay, open up in your book to page number 259. I think this is the one that we skipped yesterday. We're going to go back and do it today and your lesson today, okay? Your next lesson also. This is the introduction to the concept of area. Now, perimeter is fun, but area is even more fun. I think area is even easier than perimeter because there's not as many pieces to the puzzle that you're putting together. I do believe that you learned a little bit about area and perimeter last year. I was going through the 4th grade curriculum to see what we had left, and I am going to be introducing some of this to them in a couple of weeks. So I believe you have some concept. If you didn't get to that point, we're here now. So the concept of area, where perimeter is the distance around a shape, the area is the what you measure how big the inside of the shape is. Okay, so perimeter is the outside of the shape, area is the inside of the shape. So if you look at page number 259 in our yellow lesson area, it says area measures the surface of a simple closed figure. So it measures how big a certain simple closed surface or figure or shape is. Area is found by dividing the region into square units. So if you look at that, say those were all inches, okay, where the perimeter on top would be 12 inches long, they divided it and they sectioned it off into what we call square inches, square units, okay? So it's always working on that. So if you go through, you divide it equally into all of those square units, the area of that first rectangle right here is going to be 84 square units, okay? It doesn't tell us if it's feet or miles or inches or anything like that. And then you can do it in ones that are wonky. Those are fun. Those are like a big puzzle. You're not going to be doing those, I don't think, this year. Maybe next year in your math classes or so on or so forth. But that one that kind of looks like I don't even know, with this little arm sticking off beside it. That one's fun because they did it, and that's a unit measure of 36 square units, okay? So that's the concept. If you look down at class practice, that yellow one, go ahead and count those and see what the square units are. That should come out to 36 square units. There's 36 of those little boxes there. And I'm going to teach you today, after we're done with this page, how to do that easier so you don't have to count 36 boxes because that can get really old. And then go over to B, the red one, count and see how many square units those are. 21 square units should be your answer. Letter C, that one's kind of tricky because that has 2 halves in there, but 2 halves equals what? 1 whole. So knowing that, go ahead and count for the green surface. 16 square units should be what you have. So you should have 36, 21, 16 square units. Now, when you are measuring area, this is very important. You always, always, always have to use square units. If you're measuring area and you're measuring in feet and you only say 21 feet, it's wrong, okay? It will be wrong. You have to label it as square feet or square inches, okay? Because that is a completely different thing than just an inch, okay? An inch is just a line. A square inch is a little cube measuring area, okay? It's kind of like if you think about a city map, okay? There's all of these blocks, but there's also all of these roads. A road would be a line, but a block, if you're measuring a city block, that is surrounded by 4 different roads, but you don't measure it in the same way, okay? It's a square unit, okay? Square unit. So with that being said, you are going to finish this page for homework, but it's only perimeter, so we're not going to do it right now. Turn over to page number 261. Page 261. Let's figure out how to find the area of a rectangle. Super easy, okay? Our area of a rectangle. Your formula for it is your length times your width. With the perimeter, you would do 2 of the lengths, because remember, 2 lengths and 2 widths, okay? But this one, we're only doing our length times the width, or whenever you're working with equations and you're working with unknown numbers or unknown letters, okay? These variables, these unknown that are represented by letters, you don't always have to have the multiplication symbol in there. So it can either be area equals length with the multiplication symbol, width, or just area equals length times the width. You can tell that just because they're beside each other. Whenever numbers are beside each other in math and in algebra, that means they're being multiplied by each other, okay? Whenever they're right up next to each other, like this L and this W. There's some different facts in this yellow box. You need to know inches times inches equals square inches, okay? Because they're inches times inches equals square inches. Feet times feet equals square feet. Yards times yards equals square yards, and we'll see kind of what that means here. So let's come on over here. The example that they have in your yellow section, they have it all blocked out and divided into all of these squares. Now, we're going to count. This one's easy, but let's count how many units we have up top. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? So this is 9 units long, okay? That's the length. Now, let's count our width. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Our width is 6 units because we don't know what these units are, okay? So we're using our equation, length times width. We take our length of 9 and we multiply it by our width of 6, okay? And 9 times 6 is what? 54. So we have 54, not just units. We have 54 square, which is SQ period, units. Okay? And because you're measuring by little tiny squares, that's why. That's what they mean by unit times unit equals square unit. Whenever you multiply those together, you're going to get the inches squared or the feet squared or the units squared or the miles squared, okay? So you really need to read through. I want you to read through this yellow lesson box and read through it a couple times. Put some stars in it, especially those measurement boxes right here, okay? These are things that you need to memorize right here. Right there. Okay, so start it and get ready for it. Now let's do a little class practice together. We're going to do most of this page together. The first one, we have find the area by counting the square unit. Okay, area is always going to be some sort of square unit. This yellow box. Now you can either count all of the little squares, but that's pretty basic. Okay, or we can just use our formula in our head, easy peasy. Our length is 6, our width is 3. So using our formula, area equals the length times the width. So that would be 6 times 3 equals what? 18, not just 18, 18 square, we're using feet, square feet. Okay, that's our answer. 18 square feet. I want you to, I'm going to scoot this in a little closer so you can see it. I want you to write down the answer just like this. Let me get rid of that glare there. Okay, 18 square feet, just like that. Okay, let's look at our next one. This is the red rectangle under that section. Again, our formula is length times width. Area equals the length times width. We have area here, so we need to do our length times the width. Our length is what? 13 feet times our width is 6 feet. So 13 times 6, go ahead and do the math. 6 times 3 is 18. Oop. Okay, so 13 times 6 is 78. Not just feet, 78 square feet, because we're working with little square units of measurement to find our area. These are the little squares, little boxes, okay? Last one, the green one over here. Our length is 2 feet, our width is 4 feet. Our area equals length times width is our formula. So area equals length times width. Area equals 2 times 4, which is what? 8. 8 what? 8 square feet. Okay, those are your answers. Okay, let's do some of these formulas without seeing the pictures down here. I am on number 2A. Okay, they're giving us our length, they're giving us our width. So we just have to write down our formula. Your area is represented by the capital A, okay, so make sure it's capitalized. A equals length times width. So we're going to fill in our missing numbers. Our length is what? 7 yards. So area equals 7 times, what's our width? 5 yards. 7 times 5. Okay, so area equals 35 what? Yards? No. You multiplied yard times yard, which means you get a square yard. Okay, the area of this is 35 square yards. That 5 is really ugly. I hope yours looks better than that. Okay, over here, letter B, 6 feet times 13 feet. Now, let me give you a little hint. Whenever you're reading area equations, it is not read 16 feet times 13 feet. You read it 16 by 13, okay? By is one of those area keywords, okay? Okay, if a square is 4 foot by 5 foot, that means it is 4 times 5. So this is 6 foot by 13 foot is how you read that, okay? Read it with me. 6 foot by 13 feet. 6 feet by 13 feet, okay? By times. Whenever you're reading it, it's by, not times. I'm just going to write that above there so that you can see what I mean, okay? 6 by 13, okay? All right, so let's solve. We know our equation is area equals the length times the width, okay? We don't know which one is which, but you can move. 6 times 13 is the same thing as 13 times 6, so it doesn't matter which way you go. I just like to go in order, so I'm going to say area equals 6 times 13. We actually just did that above, so I don't even need to know. It is 78 square. Don't forget they're squared, okay, because we did feet, 5 feet, square foot, okay? So a rectangle that is 13 by 6 is 78 square foot. Okay, last one, miles over here. We have 4 miles by 7 miles. Our formula is A equals length times width. I didn't do the multiplication symbol in that one. Okay, length times width. So my length is what? I'm going to assume 4. My width is what? 7. So area, when we solve, it's going to be 28. 28 what? Not just miles, square miles. Okay? There you go. If this is super confusing, let me know. Also, I want to know if you did learn this in 4th grade, if you guys got that far in your book or not, because it is towards the end. It's in the last like 10 days of school. Again, learn those boxes, look over this, make sure you know what you're doing. I think area is a lot easier than perimeter because there's not as many problems to solve. And whenever you get into really complicated shapes, it gets even more fun. I know you guys are puzzlers, so you like puzzles, you like challenges. That's why I think you're going to really like this. All right, that's everything.